Thank you for the introduction. I think I'll just take a cue from the previous panel where the moderator was just talking about in the context of Pakistan, we did not touch him on. So I believe there's been a lot what has been said on Web 3.0, the decentralization and everything. So of course we'll touch upon those, but our topic is slightly more going to be zero-in on finance and decentralized finance, which is a new term which is being gaining a lot of interest. So before I go into the details, just with a show of hands or maybe a couple of inputs from the audience, when we talk about digital banking and internet banking, do you think they are the same terms or they mean something different? So who all say that digital banking, internet banking are one and the same thing? Okay, interesting. And who think that they are different? Okay. So there are quite a few who believe that they are one and the same thing. So, I have my experts over here, and I think we've come a long way when it comes to, and specifically when I come to Pakistan, banking has evolved quite considerably. There was a time when people did have challenges in terms of opening accounts, not saying that it's not a challenge anymore. Financial inclusion right now in Pakistan still is slightly above 20%, 21%. As per recent figures, Pakistan has the third largest unbanked population. So the challenge is immense. But at the same time, there is, I think, one should acknowledge the great work that is being done by private stakeholders as well as the government in terms of making some considerable and concerted efforts in terms of banking more and more people, because if you bring in more people in the financial net, that is a key indicator to drive economic activity. So with that, when you talk about digital, the future of digital banking, I think some of the terms that come into mind are contactless payments, embedded finance, financial inclusion for all, new partnerships, cryptocurrency, digital currency, etc., etc. So with that in mind, now before we get into the complexities and everything, I would request Ahmed maybe from you, just for the sake of the audience, because there might be some new people who do not exactly understand, okay, what are these new technology when we come to 3.0, the overall blockchains and everything. What is exactly the role of these technologies when we talk about banking and financing industry?
Okay, all right, I hope you guys can hear me. और मुझे पता है ये लंच का टाइम है, तो बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया जो यहाँ पे हैं. मेरी कोशिश होगी कि मैं उर्दू में जितना कर सकूँ करूँगा, but my Urdu is not as good as my English. To start off, I work as the head of marketing for a halal crypto ecosystem. हमने पूरा एक end-to-end ecosystem बनाया जिसमें crypto का सारा encompass होता है, NFTs, metaverse, DeFi, zakat, सब कुछ. Inshallah, we can talk about that after. So now going back to your question, what's the role of this? We have to take this back to the 2008 market crash. We have to think about the people who are involved when it comes to financial systems, banking systems. Now, due to human involvement, or जो middlemen होते हैं या centralization होता है, उसमें opportunity to corruption, fees, transaction issues, lag बहुत है. मतलब कि आप बैंक में जाओ, वहाँ पे बंदा खड़ा है, हाँ जी सर, ये वो, आगे अंगूठा लगाओ, ये करना है, वो करना है. आपका दिन के 30 मिनट चले गए, आपने सिर्फ 1000 रुपये निकालना था. But if you do it in a decentralized method where there are banks or there's no centralized system involved, literally within 3 seconds you can transfer how much ever amount you want across the globe. I'll give one example. I've employed a few people from different places in the world. और उनको initially पैसे भेजना बड़ा मुश्किल हो रहा था. हमने कहा no problem, हम क्रिप्टो कंपनी है, आप लोग क्रिप्टो में ले लें, और हमारा ये पूरा प्रॉब्लम within let's say 1 minute in a day solve हो गया. हम उनको एड्रेस लेते हैं, उनको सेंड करते हैं, कोई पाकिस्तान में है, कोई जापान में है, कोई दुबई में है, कोई ऑस्ट्रेलिया में है. Within 3 seconds a day we can send them whatever amount we want. वो वहाँ पे locally उसको बेचते हैं, usually at a premium. जिस तरह पाकिस्तान में भी अगर आप USDT खरीदें या बेचें, आपको 10% premium मिलता है. So it helps facilitate a lot of these transactions, systems, and not only just for international transfers, but also for like local daily uses. अभी अगर आप अपना credit card use करते हैं, उसके बीच में पहले 2-3 entities होती हैं जिसको approvals और उसको manage करते हैं. अगर आप decentralized non-custodial system के through करें, आपका direct one-to-one interaction है, वो बंदा आपसे पैसे लेता है और बात खत्म है. Obviously, there's a back end of proof of staking or technical things, but that is in place from a tech perspective, not a human perspective. और उसके ऊपर काफ़ी लंबी कहानी हो जाएगी, but I think I'll stop my answer there.
So I know, Ahmed, that's actually, thank you for that, providing a brief overview of the entire system. But if I were to specifically come to Pakistan, and one of the reasons for why, people are still unbanked, I think there's quite a huge population out there, and there is a certain, let's say, if I may, a lack of trust in the system, because people are very skeptical when it comes to dealing with public monies and everything. They said, okay, मेरा पैसा जो है कौन use कर रहा है, किस तरह से वो process होगा and everything. So that's where these intermediaries come in. But when we talk about the other side of things, the decentralization, where you talked about some of the benefits, how do you then equate both sides of the equation? One, over here there are people who have that trust factor and all, but when you have such advancements in technology, which I'm saying, yes, technology is a great equalizer, is an enabler for such things to happen at click of a button or very, very swiftly, then how do you manage both sides of the equation then? Because you also need to understand the sentiments, the people where they're coming from. Mind you that Pakistan has a lot of rural people, a population who still have literacy rates quite below than their usual markers and all.
या पहला काम तो ये होगा कि जिस तरह यहाँ पे सारे भाई बहन आए हैं, education, right? वो पहली बात है. When it comes to trust, I think अब हम उस point पे पहुँच गए कि हम acknowledge कर सकते हैं कि इंसान से ज़्यादा हम trust technology पे कर सकते हैं, क्योंकि technology है 1 + 1 = 2. इंसान को होता है यार 1 + 1, आप मेरे मेहमान हैं तो 20 रुपये और दे दो, ये 4 रुपये और दे दो, और फिर ये रिजल्ट है 40 रुपीज़. तो फिर कॉन्सेप्ट है कि आप उसके ऊपर भरोसा करें जहाँ पे आपको पता है कि एंड टू एंड लूप करप्ट नहीं है, एंड टू एंड लूप में कोई बायस सिस्टम्स नहीं है, आपको रिजल्ट वही मिलेगा जितना आप डाल रहे हैं. सो यूजिंग द लेजर सिस्टम, जो क्रिप्टो या ब्लॉकचेन आपको इनेबल करता है कि आपको हर चीज़ पता होगी, आपके ट्रांजैक्शंस कहाँ जा रहे हैं, पैसा कहाँ जा रहा है और किधर यूज़ हो रहा है. एंड दैट इज़ द ब्यूटी ऑफ ओपन ट्रांसपेरेंसी. अगर मैं आपको एग्जांपल देता हूँ, बैंक्स को जब आप पैसे देते हो आपको नहीं पता कि आपके पैसा के साथ वो क्या करें हैं. इन कनाडा जहाँ से मैं हूँ, लीगली वो 80% आपका कैश, अगर आपने $100 डिपॉजिट किया, वो $80 के साथ जो चाहे कर सकते हैं. टेक्निकली लोन दे सकते हैं लोगों को, उसके ऊपर रिबा कमा सकते हैं, उसके साथ ट्रांजैक्शंस कर सकते हैं. सो But when it comes to blockchain, आपको exactly पता है कि आपका पैसा किधर जा रहा है, क्योंकि उसके पीछे एक ledger system है. आप बिल्कुल उसको एक wallet address डालें, आपको पता चल जाएगा पैसा यहाँ गया, फिर पैसा यहाँ गया, फिर पैसा यहाँ गया, और इसके साथ ये हुआ है. So there's a lot more transparency and efficiency, and I think education is the first part. फिर उसके बाद everything comes in after.
So Ali, my next question to you was just continuing what Emma just said about transparency and more efficiency and everything. But in the previous panels, there was a lot of talk about the recent ATX crash, Luna and all. There are some sentiments, there's a lot of negative press around the recent crashes. और उसमें भी यही हो रहा था कि about the investments that they made. Of course, one can argue and give them the benefit of doubt that maybe they were not the best of financial planners, although there was transparency. But it resonated the same kind of impact what we witnessed back in 2008. So now, how do we solve this problem? Because one point, yes, we really want to go ahead and really make, let's say, our country more progressive when it comes to incorporating the best of best financial services, making more and more people be able to capitalize on the benefits of being included in the financial space. But when you have such glaring examples on both sides of the world, then what are your thoughts on that?
I'd say it's very early still. We tend to think, we look at the blockchain space today and we think, that we've arrived and all these sort of, what we have now is what we're going to have in 5 years. But from a developer perspective, most of the developers that are coming into the space now are coming in from the Web 2 world. They got computer science degrees. All their sort of experience has been on the Web 2 side. And the blockchain technology is actually very different. It's not the same. There's more math involved. It's a more precise type of programming. If you make a mistake if you're making an app on a phone and you have a bug in it, well, the app is just going to crash and the user just restarts the app and they use it. If you have a bug in a blockchain app, you're going to lose money. Sorry. And so I think it's going to take time for developers to get used to writing apps, learning what the difference is between, the previous way of, a blockchain computer is very different from a traditional computer. It's not the same architecture. And so I think the whole industry is just going through a learning phase right now, and it's early. So these things will get worked out, and soon we won't have these sort of crashes or hacks.
I mean, FTX के साथ जो भी हुआ, and whatever happened with FTX, if you read into it in detail, you'll understand that it happened because there's still a lot of centralization to it, whereas you're talking about it. And now if it was purely decentralized, it would be very difficult to do what happened with FTX. Like, Sam Bankman-Fried sent the money across and did whatever they did, leverage and blah, blah, blah. So, and then second point, I totally agree. We're very early, and especially जब industry एक नई होती है ना, उसको test, practice, उसके साथ कर के बंदा फिर आगे वो industry बढ़ती है. तो अभी हमारे testing चल रही है, हमारी practicing चल रही है. So.
I think that's good. There's always that, sandbox approach, what exactly can work, and you can definitely go into those details. But maybe, yes, we are witnessing, disruption doesn't just come. I think it's not a planned process. It can just happen with a matter of seconds, especially with the likes of these different startups and all, which are just doing some fantastic work. And I think in Pakistan is a lot of talent that is working on different startups, especially the work of incubation and acceleration facilities, quite commendable. And what we are witnessing is a paradigm shift between what used to be digital businesses maybe a year or 2 years ago. We are now talking about the creation of digital asset economy, which is very, very critical. And I think, Ahmed, I would like you to shed a few points when we talk about specifically traditional finance, and now with let's say decentralized finance in the horizon, how would you say that, if let's say we were to make that jump, or let's say that move, how quick or how convenient would that be in terms of making ourselves ready for that particular shift?
Okay, so I do come from a finance background, so I can talk about this a little bit more. तो अभी भी banking काफ़ी digital है. हमें पता है इस बात का understanding है कि अभी भी आप जाएं easy पैसा, jazz cash, even online transfers and all that stuff. Now, I think migration में एक learning curve है, जो अगर हम institutionalize कर दें universities में, high schools में, middle school में, कि ये आने वाला concept of finance है, तो बच्चे बहुत जल्दी पकड़ लेंगे, especially the youth, or then they'll start using it. And I think for me, it took me about 6 months of using non-custodial and custodial systems, financial systems, to understand it. So migration शायद एक generation ना लगे, maybe 3-4 years लगे, but उसके लिए proper अगर institutional systems set up किए जाएं, universities में, high schools में, तो लोग सीख सकते हैं, क्योंकि majority UI UX concepts वही हैं कि इस तरह transfer करना, number लिया, transfer किया. जो back end systems है जिसमें भाईजान developers की बात कर रहे हैं, smart contracts and that will take time.
Chala, I think in the interest of time, the last couple of points that I would like to request, maybe we can start with Ali. When we talk about incorporation of some of the things, because for us, in specifically for Pakistan, the challenge to bank the unbanked is quite immense. We just cannot ignore that. There's nearly, I would say, 70 to 80% people who are still out there to be banked. Now, with these technologies at hand, with some of the promising work that has been done by a lot of people outside Pakistan as well, what would be your message or recommendation to some of the youth sitting over here, especially some takeaways that we can actually furnish in form of recommendations when we are having those public policy dialogues? Yes, these are some of the things that can actually slightly fast track the process of banking more the ban. And what kind of policy provisions that you see that should be enforced vis-a-vis security, privacy, data provisioning, and the kind of stakeholders that need to be involved?
I think the main thing that needs to be worked on is the wallets. If you look at the Web3 wallets right now, they're very hard to use. If you lose your password, then no one can help you. You basically lost your money. there's some social recovery infrastructure that can be set up that needs to be worked on. I would recommend anyone here who's interested in doing that to look into those sort of avenues to make sure that if some person who loses their phone or anything like that happens, that they don't lose their money. That's, I think, one big barrier to adoption. If that happens a lot, then that'll sort of get out in the news and people will stop using it. Other than that, I think it's I think there has to be more of a transition from paper money to digital currency. We need a digital rupee. We need a digital dollar. Once you have that, then your money becomes programmable. You have programmable money, and so you can target specific industries. You can do some really interesting things when your money becomes digital. You can incentivize good behavior. You can incentivize lots of things. And so it's a very interesting future we're walking into. I think it's going to come quicker than most of us imagine. And I think the first step is everyone just needs to sort of understand and think about the underlying technology.
Last points,
I think we have to work backwards from what the goal is. The goal is to see how Pakistan and our local community can start migrating over to Web3 and decentralization and finance. Look at the benefits of how crypto or stable coins or non-custodial wallets can benefit Pakistan. For example, a lot of people are doing freelancing, but many people are having issues with PayPal. Who here is doing freelancing? Do you have issues with PayPal? Right? Now imagine someone had hired you and paid you in crypto, you would have no issues with nothing. Like as I said, I've hired a sister in Islamabad, and I just send her money on a monthly basis, and that it's very simple. Just like that, if we can institutionalize or just put it into local vendor system, जिस तरह आप जब पान या गोला या गोलगप्पे लेने जाते हो, अगर उसके पास एक QR code पड़ा है, आप उसको scan करो, तभी उसको let's say we make a stable PKR, stable Pakistani rupees, linked to the bonds या linked to gold, आप उसको send कर सकते हैं और उसको उसी वक्त पैसा मिल जाएगा, उसको कभी बीच का कोई issues नहीं होंगे, कोई corruption नहीं होगी और बड़ा आसान हो जाएगा. Like अभी वेनेजुएला में हो रहा है, like अभी अफ्रीका के काफ़ी मुल्कों में हो रहा है, जो लोकल लोग हैं जिन्होंने इंडस्ट्री 2.0, इंडस्ट्री 3.0 को देखा भी नहीं, डायरेक्ट इंडस्ट्री 4.0 के पास आ गए with Web3 and crypto and all this stuff, because they realize if you can get over the hurdles of UI UX, user experience, initial wallet की वजह से, then there is a lot of ease in financial control. But I have to agree with you, the UI UX is a huge problem.
Thank you so much. I believe this was an informative session. I believe maybe you can take a couple of takeaways, but the contact details of these gentlemen and myself are here. Feel free to reach out to us on LinkedIn or any other social platform, and we would be happy to. But just last thoughts from my side, it gives me a lot of confidence when we have so many good and young, energetic people, especially Pakistanis, such as yourselves, who are working in different parts of the world, who are working in some advanced technologies, and they can actually be those pioneers, those mentors who can bring back those learnings and actually propel the country to better beginnings. So thank you so much once again, gentlemen. It was a pleasure, and thank you so much for listening. Have a good day.